just don't understand what happened in there, that's all. Oh man, it's crazy as a rat in a tin house is what.
Oh, hey, well, that's enough out of you. Brooks ain't no bug. It's just institutionalized. The man's been in here 50 years, Haywood. 50 years. This is all he knows. In here, he's an important man. He's an educated man. Outside, he's nothing. Just a used-up con with arthritis in both hands. Probably couldn't get a library card if he tried. You know what I'm trying to say? But I'm telling you, these walls are funny. First you hate them, then you get used to them. Enough time passes, you get so you depend on them. That's institutionalized.
When I talk to people in the Christian world, outside of Adventism, and I speak to them about my past in Adventism, like, oftentimes they just don't get it. Like, they can't comprehend the way that I lived. They can't comprehend the things that I believed. They can't comprehend that. But there are times, and I know that very often people will come on here and think that I am bashing Adventism. And I will be honest with you, very often I am bashing Adventism, its theology. But I'm not trying to bash the individual. I'm trying to bash the theology that I find to be so destructive. Please understand something. At the end of it all, like when I hear this speech, I think about Adventists. I think about Adventists who have, like Brooks, they're institutionalized. Now, I don't know if you can remember the movie or the scene, but Brooks, you know, he is given the freedom. He's been told he's going to be free. I should have said he hadn't committed suicide at this point in time. He had just been told he was going to get out. And he had taken a knife and stuck it to this guy's throat because he didn't want to get out. He wanted to stay in. He was terrified of being out. Okay? Now, he was institutionalized to the point he'd been there so long, he was actually afraid of getting out. And if you watch the movie, when he is released, he says, it's a whole new world out here. I'm not used to it. He says, I can remember there was like maybe one car when I was first sent in. There was one car. Now there's all these cars, and everything moves at a different pace. And he's got a job, and he doesn't like it because Red is right. He's like, in here, he's an important man. He's an educated man. Outside, he's nothing, and that's what Brooks felt, because all of his self-worth was caught up in the prison. In that structure is where he felt all of his self-worth. And when we come along and we take all that away, or we pull you out of it, it's terrifying. And so if you watch the movie, one of the things he does is as he's writing a letter to them, he says, you know, I'm thinking about shooting somebody or sticking up a store, robbing, just so I can come back there. He desperately wants to go back to that structure where he was. He despises, he is terrified of the freedom. I remember one scene, it's at night and he's in bed and he's tossing and turning. He's an absolute wreck. But he can't commit a crime. He can't hurt somebody. And so he says he's going to take his own life. He ends it himself because he can't stand, listen to me now, he can't stand the freedom. I need you to understand that what he wrestles with is freedom. Now you're thinking, oh, come on, that's a stretch. Is it? Go back to the book of Exodus. When the children of Israel had been slaves for 400 years, when they get out, what's one of the things that they say? Take us back. This freedom that we now have is too difficult. I'm hungry now. I mean, at least when I was a slave, I had food regularly. You know, I had a house to sleep in, whatever. But they wanted to go back. And so for me, very, very often, the thing that hurts me the most for my Adventist friends and Adventist family is that they find themselves in terror of freedom. I mean, let's think of what he says. 50 years, it's all he's known. That was Brooks Hadlin. For 50 years, this was all he's known. Do you know anybody like that? Do you know anybody in your life? Maybe it's you. All you've ever known is Adventism. You know all the laws. You know all the theology. You know all the points that Ellen White would make. You know all the arguments. You know all the commandments. It's all you've ever known. And so when somebody like me comes along and says, you're not under that law anymore, that terrifies you. That terrifies you. Because you don't know how to live without that structure. You don't know how to live with that thing of Friday night sundown to Saturday night sundown. You don't know how to live. You wouldn't know what to do on a Saturday if you could do anything you wanted to do. And that proposition is terrifying to you. You know how I know this? Because it was terrifying to me. You think it was easy for me to watch TV on a Saturday for the first time? You think it was easy for me to drink a glass of wine or eat some bacon? No. Because for so long, I had been indoctrinated by that structure, by the institution. From Friday night sundown to Saturday night sundown, you're not to do any work. No watching TV, no listen to secular music, no doing what you wanted to do. That's where I lived. And the idea that suddenly now that's gone. You know, I was an elder in a Seventh-day Adventist church. I was respected. People listened to me. They came to me with questions. They wanted me to study. They wanted me to guide them in matters of theology and whatnot. If I leave, what do I have? In here, I'm an elder. I'm respected. Out there, I'm nothing. So I understand the fear. I absolutely understand the fear. But then there's this other quote that Red says that I like. He says, these walls are funny.
These walls are funny.
First, you hate them.
First you hate them.
And when I thought about that, I thought, first you hate them. Boy, that's true. And maybe it's true for you. When you were a kid, are you going to tell me you loved all the rules? There's no way. There's no way. I can remember as a little kid, all my friends at school were talking about Saturday morning cartoons. I'm like, oh, I've never seen those. And so I can very clearly remember going in and making sure my mom was awake and then turning on the TV and turning the volume all the way down just to watch the Sunday morning cartoons or Saturday morning cartoons. Because I didn't like those rules. If you were anything like me, all day Saturday, you had your church bulletin out and you're looking, okay, what time is sundown? Okay, 4 hours more. What are we going to do? Let's play Egypt to Canaan. What did you do? I'm telling you right now, as a kid, I hated him. I hated him. And then he says this, then you get used to him. These walls are funny. First you hate him, then you get used to him. And that's kind of also where I found myself. Maybe in high school, maybe when I was in my 20s and 30s, I got used to them. Like this was normal now. Yeah, you know, we don't do anything on Saturday. And so after so long of obeying those laws, the desire to do something contrary was just kind of far away. And so now you just kind of give in. And you get used to them after a while. Enough time passes, he says.
Enough time passes.
You depend on it.
You get so you depend on it.
And that's where I found myself.